What is denied by everyone but actually 100% real? Before we start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. A lot of psychological stuff in here, but I just wanted to mention that driving barefoot is legal in every state in the United States. Lots of people doubt me when I mention it. A lot of our parents were taught it was illegal at a young age to discourage them from doing it. Then in the usual old advice way, it's been parroted from parent to child. The reason it's discouraged is because 1. Proper footwear is conducive to basically anything you do with your feet, including operation of the pedals. 2. Much more importantly, because if you get in an accident, you don't know what might be on the ground, what you might have to climb through, out of, or where your shoes may have ended up in the accident. There will likely be broken glass, metal shards, and these days, sharp plastic bits, all over the ground, and in an accident, chances are your shoes will no longer be where they were before. Story 2. You are much more likely to believe whatever side of a story you hear first. Kids know this one for sure. That's why you gotta rush to the door when mom or dad gets home so you can tell your side first before your siblings. But I think most people that have had to deal with the police also know this. Whoever calls the cops first wins. So, years ago, my best friend went on vacation out of the country, and I had no way to contact her. While she was gone, I caught her boyfriend going to a club and trying to cheat on my friend with someone that I knew. I had no way to tell my friend in real time and had to wait for her to come back from her trip. I knew I had to get to her before the boyfriend got to her with some made-up story. The boyfriend knew he had to beat me to the punch, and he did. This met her at the airport and proposed to her before I could tell her what he was up to. Story 3. We physically judge people when we first meet them. I'd just add it's not just about beauty. I am a psychological researcher as opposed to a counselor clinician. Lots of research shows that other features are very important to our quick judgments of others, including something called prototypicality, how much this person looks like the average person you're familiar with. More prototypical faces are seen as more trustworthy than less prototypical faces, for example, on average anyway. Individuals still vary in how they make their judgments, but everyone who can see does make a judgment. I used to think this was total bunk and argued pretty vehemently against it, but I've noticed myself doing it more the more I pay attention, even with other men. The more attractive and conventionally good-looking they are, the more I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, listen to what they have to say, etc. It boggles my mind that it happens even though I know that it's happening. Story 4. Being addicted to your cell phone. I have a few friends who use their phones for work, so I understand it partly, but their face is staring at that screen constantly throughout the whole day, every single day. We're in some group texts, and they not only respond within seconds to everything, but they're posting all the time. Oh, the smartphone is by far the most addictive legal thing that's available. It's pure and simple a dopamine machine that makes you addicted like gambling. Instead of throwing a coin in the slot machine, you unlock your phone to do something duddy thing. You checked and found a new app update? Rewarded. You checked Instagram again and just saw a newly posted picture? Rewarded. You didn't find anything new? Sense of disappointment and failure. Let's throw another coin in that slot machine in a few minutes. Story 5. The you in your head is not the you that everyone else knows or sees. In fact, every single person has a different view of who you are. The biggest trip of this discovery for me was considering that my evaluation of myself might actually be the least realistic. It's your actions that define you entirely in other people's eyes, whereas my definition of self is based almost entirely on internal thoughts. If most of those thoughts never translate into action, how real are they? There's a 3-part Stephen King short story called Life of Chuck, and the first part essentially touches on this. When someone dies, the world ends for the version they perceive of everyone they've ever met. I butchered that description, but it's worth a read. Story 6. I'm a teacher, and they like to reiterate that we aren't in it for the money, but are in it for the kids. I guess that's true in crappy paying areas, but where I live, I'm there to be a good teacher for a sizable salary. Without the money, I have zero desire to teach kids. I remember in a mom group I was in, a bunch of moms were hating on Blippi. He's only doing it for the money, how weird. Meanwhile, I'm thinking I hope he's in it for the money. A grown man dressing in orange suspenders singing about excavators and playing in kids' museums with a camera crew not in it for the money is weirder to me. Everyone's in it for the money, whatever it is. Some people also happen to love whatever it is for them. Story 7. 2020 is 4.5 years ago. The release of the first Pokemon games are closer to the breakup of the Beatles than the present day. SpongeBob episode where Patrick says, "Is this mayonnaise?" premiered before Billie Eilish and Greta Thunberg were born. The marriage and divorce of Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake are closer to the fall of the Soviet Union than the present day. There will be people legally voting in the USA presidential election this year that never saw the Twin Towers, never saw Destiny's Child as a group, and have never lived in a YouTube-less world. Time is crazy. Story 8. Social media is making the world worse and causing mental health problems. Similarly, how everyone hits their social media when it's actually their fault in that they don't curate their social media. You can actually unfollow, unfriend all of those people you hate seeing crap from. You can actually not friend them, not follow them in the first place. I have stopped getting on Instagram and Facebook because I'm tired of seeing people's selfies and lives. I don't post anymore either. If you know me, then you see me in person, not airing my life out of my face or my family's faces online anymore. It's exhausting and I'm over it. Being a mystery is where it's at these days, for me at least. Story 9. Everyone is not and cannot be beautiful, and that's okay. I'm pretty sure that most other animals probably think all humans are ugly. Imagine an animal with no hair except for a few patches over the body, walking around on 2 legs with the other 2 legs dangling at the side with extra long toes hanging off it. By our own standards of animals, we find cute, and animals we find ugly. I reckon humans are definitely somewhere at the ugly end. We just find certain humans attractive for the same reason an ugly-ass warthog finds its opposite gender attractive. Basically, the world's most beautiful human is like the world's most beautiful warthog. We're all ugly and beauty is an illusion. Story 10. One example could be the idea that everyone has their own unique perspective on reality, even if they don't always acknowledge it. Everyone experiences and interprets the world differently, but this is a true and personal reality for each person. I think about this whenever I travel. I'll be on a train or walking through a town and zero in on an apartment or house window and think, who lives there? What is their daily life like? What life and cultural experiences have they had living here? It makes me much more empathetic and curious and thoughtful of others and the life they live. Story 11. That the ice cream machine at McDonald's is always broken. The real reason the machines are always broken is that if you even look at the machine wrong, it throws a fault code. And the only person who can read and reset the code are certified technicians. It's a maintenance money grab agreement between McDonald's and the ice cream machine manufacturer. Filling the machine with slightly too much water will lock it out until someone pays a technician to reset it. There was a company that made a device that showed the codes and lets you reset them without paying for tech. And McDonald's sued them, I believe. It would be broken a whole lot less if one company that charges ridiculous rates didn't have a monopoly on McDonald's ice cream machines. Only this company's technicians can repair them or diagnose them. It's gotten a bit better lately, as a third party won a court case, allowing them to sell and use a diagnostic tool that allows others to diagnose and repair them. Story 12. No one is thinking about you. This is great news. People are focused on themselves and have a very small attention span for you. So live your life. Some people are. Some people have OCD and a never-ending thought stream and are obsessed with others and think about them constantly. A never-ending parade of rent. Free head dwellers. I don't think it's OCD, but it's something atypical that causes my mother to think about me all the time. She's 79. I'm 50, and she worries about me like I'm 2. I have a brother. It's not the same. I think you can observe kids' habits and behaviors at a very young age and know which one's going to have his together and which one isn't going to always be home on time. Story 13. What's keeping people from understanding each other is our egos. Everybody thinks what they know is the correct one, the only truth. People aren't really stupid, just too arrogant and full of ourselves. We always think we know better than others, but we forget that our realities and truths are just our side of the story. There can be many sides of stories. Just because ours is different from others doesn't mean they are wrong. Most of the time, 2 or more facts, truths can coexist, but not everyone is ready to accept that. which is actually funny because we are in a world now where people push for equality, freedom, and non-discrimination. But we can't just seem to be comfortable with people who have different preferences and views as ours. We easily invalidate other people simply because they say things we do not agree. Most can't even keep a respectful and healthy discourse while expressing their ideas, as if resorting to ad hominems will make their points more right than the other. We fail to see that we can only talk about the things we know and understand. Without listening and willingness to understand what others have to say, we will never learn and grow. We will never find the best solution to issues and disputes. People will never be able to find a middle ground unless we learn how to humble ourselves and think, I could be wrong, and Hesh could be right. Or, oh yeah, that's interesting, I didn't see it that way, but it makes sense. We lean solely in our own understanding and not hear what others have to say just to confirm our own biases. We will never find peace and harmony in what we are doing right now. Instead of using social media and globalization as a way of building unity among people and nations, here we are creating a never-ending divide among sexes, genders, races, political or religious views, as if one is superior than the other, when the very truth is no one is. We call ourselves Homo sapiens, the wise man, but as I see it, there's nothing wise about what we are doing right now. We are our own tragic demise, and we are all too arrogant to admit it. Story 14. That people can change and learn from their mistakes. Everyone I know loves to completely eschew anyone and hold grudges forever over who a person is, when really it was just something someone did. We're human. We make mistakes. If someone says, I'm not that person anymore, and their actions seem to confirm it, it might be time to let it go. That's true, but I think it's dangerous to take their word for it. Too often I've seen people claim they've changed, only to reveal that they actually haven't, and that can take a long time, and happen at the worst time. I think people are generally not good at understanding themselves and their own progress, so I might believe it more readily if it came from someone else. I do agree, there are disingenuous people. That's why I think looking at their actions matters, helps differentiate genuine remorse from performance. I just have seen good friends stay stuck on, they did this once so I'm done with them, when the other person is actively trying to fix what they did. Story 15. Autistic people are more widely disliked in general than allistic people, and people judge them rather harshly without knowing anything about them or even talking to them. There have been studies done, one main one especially, that show that allistic, non-autistic people are prone to negative judgment upon first sight, first hearing speech from, or first seeing pictures of autistic people without ever having a conversation with them. It definitely rings true from my own personal experiences as an autistic person as well. People judge me incredibly harshly when they first meet me a lot of the time based entirely on things that are completely unbeknownst to me. People just have an inherent inclination to dislike and discredit me, and it's very distressing. I am frequently treated as less than others who have less knowledge and experience than me in all settings, especially professional ones, and this also happens to most of my friends who are also autistic. Conversely, autistic people are much less likely to exhibit this same negativity towards other autistics. People will absolutely say that they aren't judgmental, but their actions prove otherwise. Autism is incredibly misunderstood still, especially when it comes to people who aren't the perfect stereotype of a little boy who cannot speak or care for himself. Being visibly autistic is a detriment to a person's ability to thrive, entirely due to these false negative impressions. I cannot count the amount of opportunities I have been denied due to this in terms of jobs and other opportunities that require interviews, despite my being very knowledgeable and well suited for them. I have been passed over for promotions and jobs because I suppose something about me just seems off to the people interviewing me. I always do well during phone interviews or written communication, but as soon as someone actually meets me, everything falls apart. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your thoughts in the comment below.